right. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirusho here. Now, whenever we last left off, Deku has just, well, gone a little bit used to his normal life again. What I mean by that was in the last part, Deku went back to school, found out that a lot of things have been happening, along with the fact that his target, Sayako and Telly, she has somewhat been a bit crazy, trying to figure out exactly what is going on. Now, with that being said, I do believe a time skip is in order. Now, let us skip around 3 years. And this time, Deku has been training mentally, along with physically now, that his father has told him to. Along with this other super strength quirk, it has increased his power, but he is still physically slower. Along with that, Deku has been taking on random quirks, and some useless ones. Now, with that being said, I'm looking for 5 more quirks. Or let us say, well, I was going to say 6, but that was because someone wants me to give Deku a creation quirk. So I'm going to be giving him 1. I'm just going to need to think about a way to make it make sense. So, with that being said, name 5 more quirks. And they will be picked. Now, with that along the way, Deku would be taking on these random quirks and using them. Some of them may be useless, but they're just good to keep around and stockpile. More and more and more. Along with that, over this amount of time, Deku has somewhat been putting a plan in place to help himself. He needs to get allies, and he's beginning to put together a list. From what the doctor has told him, there are weird people. Well, there are people with weird quirks, and some with more powerful ones. And Deku needs to go through a list. In fact, there are quite a lot here. And there is one that surprises him. There is one quirk that's similar to one he already has. And, well, there's more and more. The odd ones, the new ones, and, well, even the young Todoroki, the son of the number 2 hero, who has an odd scar on his face. Now, with that, Deku is looking in more and more and more, trying to think about which will be his perfect targets, since Sayako is basically near her breaking point already. He has gotten close to her in a long amount of time, and he believes that sometime, well, this year, would be a good opportunity to turn her to the dark side, if you can call it that. Now, along with that, Deku has been getting a lot better mentally. He's at least been able to hide his shakes, or not have them at all. And Gigantomachia, he has been a large help to Deku. Anytime Deku goes out anywhere, he takes Gigantomachia, since Off One has stated that Midoriya is in danger, just with the fact that villains know that he exists. Anytime there's a problem, Gigantomachia would immediately solve it. Although he can't always be there. Over this couple of years, or 3 years, Deku has actually begun to notice that since he's been dropping out of some more and more clubs, people are taking notice to it, until he does stay at least into the one club he needs to be in. And, well, that's where it started. After he did that one day, he began to notice that people began to, well, mess with him a bit more. and take notice to that. They begin to mess with him and think that he may just think he's better than everyone else, just like that other girl in that club, thinking that he is possibly just like her. So, they would be bullying and ridiculing Deku, until usually around the end of the day, in which they can't do so, because they would see this giant man waiting for Deku outside. Usually Deku just walking with him, and Hayama. Now, a lot of people don't understand that, thinking that the boy has a bodyguard, or that Midori has a bodyguard, so clearly something happened to him. And, well, some people do pick up on his little, well, trauma. Sometimes he kind of just has it slip. He's had a couple instances where people watch him, and he does somewhat begin to shake and begin to, well, mess around with his hands in a certain way. Or he straight up just bolts out of a classroom. Anything you can really think of, he has had similar incidents to. People finding it a bit odd and a bit weird. At one point in his classroom, whenever he heard a loud sound, that was so sudden, he was just doing classwork. In fact, he basically jumped up and nearly ran out of the room. If he had a super speed quirk, he would have used it. Although the oddest thing that happened was whenever he did run out of the room, a piece of the metal was a bit dented whenever he grabbed it. The teacher thinking that was a bit odd. But those doors are made cheaply. So Midoriya probably just grabbed it too hard. Along with other instances. Along with him sometimes sitting out of PE, because his adrenaline is spiking. And in fact, he is going more and more mentally unstable. But he is also trying to heal. That being the problem. Anytime he does think he makes significant progress, something will always happen. There are always incidents. Now, with that being said, Deku has also never used fear, ever since the day he got it. That being something that everyone knows about. So the boy is just going to be holding onto that quirk. Good. Now, with that being said, Deku, he knows that Midoriya is having a hard time. So, he didn't want to do this yet, but Midoriya does need this quirk. And he believes that proper experience with it will be perfect. Along with that, it might help him. Midoriya needs time. And time is not something that is simply given out. There is only a certain amount of it. It's almost like clockwork, if you will. So, every human has a certain amount of time in the day. Some have more than others. Especially this person Deku will be going after next. Now, with that being said, Deku would head home today. Along with that, Sayako is actually walking in his direction and talking with him. Her somewhat just muttering to herself and going through one of the many notebooks she has, and writing off one more theory as debunked, along with the rest in this notebook. Deku actually seeing that she's, well, doing this. Now, with that being said, Deku is taking a different route home, since he knows that if he goes through the other one, Deku might remember. So, along with that, it's actually close to where she would live. Things will be getting a lot easier for both of them. Now, that being said, Deku would be ready today, as him and her would talk and then split up. Then Deku heading back to the bar. him being able to at least stay calm for today. He has been noticing more and more that sometimes his episodes don't have him. Or, well, whenever they do happen, they're significantly less extreme. They're more toned down. So he is getting a lot better. Along with that, All For One would be there to greet Deku at the front door. Deku actually a bit confused to see his dad, asking him exactly what is going on. To which All For One just state that they are going to be doing a bit of a different form of training. Or, well, your first solo mission. Shigaraki has been with you a lot, but I fear he won't always be there. So, what you need to do is go after this high-value target. Deku just staring at his dad. A bit confused, but still a bit interested. All For One telling Midoriya that this quirk is something that he has once had in his hands. In fact, he's actually hinted it off. Deku's still a bit, well, not understanding this. If his dad had the quirk, why didn't he just keep it? All For One explaining that he gave it to someone for a different purpose. In fact, it was one of their earlier projects. So, go speak with the doctor, and he will give you more information, along with actually giving you a medical checkup. This quirk will be a bit challenging, but I do believe that I will give you another one to help. The quirks you have currently will be a good challenge for it. Although, there are strict parts of this mission. The target knows that you are hunting them. Deku a bit taken aback. Not really sure what to say. As he instructs Midoriya to just go talk with the doctor. Deku leaving. And talking with the doctor. The doctor explaining that this target, well, they don't really have a name for him. He goes by his own cover name, but that is not what I like to call him. I like to call him Number 6. The quirk he has used to be in possession of the hero called O'Clock. Deku not sure who that is. The doctor is saying that O'Clock used to be a good hero, and in fact he was considered to be, well, very, very fast. His ability is to stop time. That is what people think, but that is not true. The ability is simply something else. It allows your body to move at light speed or faster to eye movements for a couple seconds. However, there is significant drawbacks to this quirk. In fact, there are multiple, but I will not be telling you those. Deku a bit confused. The doctor explaining that this, well, experiments, he has had this quirk for some time. In fact, he was born and raised to master this quirk. So that is what your father believes. If you can defeat someone who was born and trained in a quirk his whole life, then you might be able to beat All Might. Deku confused. A little bit more. He wants to ask a question. But this is another doctor would just say that, along with that, I do need to give you a mental examination. So I will be doing that before you leave. Along with that, I do believe that, well, I can answer some of your questions. Deku's just starting off with one. Why is he supposed to beat All Might? The doctor's saying that All Might, he has a quirk that has been, well, annoying for quite a long time. In fact, your father has been trying to snuff it out and get rid of it. I don't think I should give you the explanation about it. Just go ask your dad about All Might's quirk. That is not where my interests lie. My interests lie in All for One, making sure that he can do what he needs to. In fact, that also means you. So, as the doctor would get things ready, giving Deku a mental examination and actually talking with him more, asking him some questions. This is taking up a significant amount of time, so I will not be going into detail about it. But just know it consists of a lot of different tests. Now, the doctor has actually been getting better at psychology, so that he can actually help take care of Midoriya, under All for One's order. So he would have given Midoriya somewhat of a good, checkup. His mental state seems to be fine, but it seems that he just needs to, stay calm. Or at least make sure that he does do his exercises, if he needs to. Now, with that being said, Deku would leave, and go to All for One, asking him a question about All Might. Asking him about that, what's his quirk? Since the doctor told him that All Might has been around, and that he has been trying to, as the doctor said, snuff out the quirk for quite a while. All for One just explaining that the quirk All Might possesses is called One for All. Deku confused. Before he opens his mouth, this is whenever All for One just explain that a long time ago, whenever people were still, the majority of people were still quirkless, as he begins to explain, the day that he found a random quirk, thinking that this would be a useful one, being able to stockpile energy every day, and slowly go stronger. The quirk was seen as one of the first enhancements, and in fact it was very, very rare at the time. It was considered unique. But that is just it. I took this quirk from the man, and I passed it on to my brother. He believed that it was wrong to take quirks, and that you shouldn't be able to do that. Now, I passed this quirk on to him because I thought he was quirkless, and his life should have been easier, or so I thought. Deku raising an eyebrow, as he would just say that whenever All Might took on, or not All Might, whenever my brother took on this quirk, it mixed with one he already had. One that was unidentified, since it was harder to tell who had quirks at the time. Eventually you have this pinky toe thing, but, we did not. It combined with a quirk he had that was able to be passed down. My quirk, give and take. His quirk, give. That would make sense. Now, this quirk allowed him to pass down his own. However, with this new power mixing with it, it created One for All. The first version. Deku confused, as All for One just go on stating that the first version was eventually passed down. I'm still not aware of how he found out. It could be even given. But still, whenever I do find it out, that will at least answer one of my long-lasting questions. Now, eventually the quirk was passed down to Nana Shimura. She was, annoying. All Might's former mentor. But, she died in battle, trying to defeat me. Then you have All Might himself, the current holder. He is growing old, and I believe that after his injury, he will slow down at least a little bit. I am unsure of it. I do believe we were meant to have a fated battle, but my interference may have stopped it. I'm unsure. All I know is that shortly afterwards, one of my many warehouses were raided and actually taken away. So, I do want to say that the next time me and him meet, it will end in blood. Deku just paying attention, hearing his father's story about All Might's quirk. Now, with that being said, this is whenever All for One just tell Deku that, now, the quirk you are going after, Clockwork, you will find your target at this location. That is where the game begins. There is no time limit, although you two will have to try and best each other in battle. If the boy wins, then he will keep his quirk. If you win, you take his quirk. However, do not expect him to go easy on you, my son. This opponent is quite deadly. And in fact, he has almost been caught on numerous occasions, but has escaped after killing an entire police force. Deku hearing that, to which he would have been horrified by All for One finishing that statement in under 1 second. Now, with that being said, Deku would be ready, and he would leave on his mission, thinking about this more. Now, with that, I believe that is a good part to leave this off of, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.